Success can come in many forms: respect, accolades, fame. But for one songwriter, real success came from somewhere else entirely. This is a story of a CUNY graduate who became a Pulitzer Prize winner and whose search for success left behind the soundtrack to a generation. Marvin Hamlisch, the famous composer for film and theater, wasn't actually composing when he wrote the soundtrack to 1973's The Sting. Instead, the decision was made to adapt the music of Scott Joplin, the turn-of-the-century composer and pianist known as the King of Ragtime. But when Marvin's lush arrangements of Joplin's music hit theaters, critics took notice, and The Sting became another smash hit in a career that saw Marvin become one of the world's few EGOTs. But what's an EGOT, you ask? Marvin's soundtrack to The Sting resulted in a huge resurgence of interest in ragtime music in the 1970s. The film's theme, The Entertainer, reached number 3 on Billboard's Top 100. In the decades since, it's been burned into the minds of a generation of children chasing ice cream trucks, and even featured in a memorable episode of The Simpsons. But who was this wonderkind from Brooklyn that managed to win 3 Oscars and 4 Grammys by the age of 30? Born in 1944 to 2 Jewish parents who had fled Austria just before World War II, Marvin had a career in music even before he was in college. His father, Max, had been forced to abandon a promising music career in Vienna, and recognizing a natural ability in his son, transferred his dreams to Marvin, who was accepted into Juilliard at the tender age of 6. Marvin was also enrolled in the Professional Children's School, a general education school that offered flexible schedules for children pursuing careers. Through a classmate, Marvin met Liza Minnelli. Marvin and a family friend, Howard Liebling, had been writing pop songs in their free time, and through an acquaintance of the Minnelli family, were able to get a demo to producer Quincy Jones. The song, a bubbly celebration of teenage love, became Marvin's first commercial success.
Sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows.
It was a bona fide hit, remaining recognizable well beyond its teeny bopper era.
Brighter than a lucky penny when you're near the rain cloud disappeared here and
Despite having a chart-topping single under his belt, Marvin was still expected to go to college. But he didn't exactly put his career on hold. Unwilling to compromise, he took his first jobs writing music for movies, which he would do each night after homework. It was a grueling schedule of classwork and deadlines that began Marvin's long-term relationship with indigestion. But it also brought Marvin his first major award, a Golden Globe. Well, it wasn't an Oscar, but Marvin's music for the movie Koch surprised all observers to beat out Shaft for Best Original Song. As for that year's Oscar, Marvin would have to wait.
Shaft! Damn right.
By now, Marvin had finally fulfilled his promise to his father and graduated from Queens College. It may have taken more years than I care to think, but at least I had lived up to my promise to my father, and it felt good to have a degree, to have read some first-rate books, and get a chance to sit in a classroom, the library, and not always on a piano bench. It was a sentiment that would take on even more meaning later in life. With his obligations behind him, Marvin left New York City for Hollywood and began work on what would be a pivotal project.
The Way We Were, that film started out outside of college, okay? So I decided I'm going to think about the bells of the college, which were, that was actually on the soundtrack, just bells of a college. Now I start thinking about Barbra Streisand, which is the most fantastic voice, and I'm thinking to myself, she sings those wonderful long notes, okay? Now I'm writing long notes. Okay? And I start that process.
Misty watercolor man.
The Way We Were and The Sting were released within 9 months of one another. Between the two films, Marvin was nominated for 3 Oscars and 4 Grammy Awards. He won every category. But the Wonderkind wasn't about to slow down. In 1974, the legendary director Michael Bennett invited Marvin to move back to New York and work on a new musical he was developing. It was called A Chorus Line. Based on a series of taped interviews with real Broadway dancers, A Chorus Line would be about the highs and lows of 17 dancers auditioning for a show. Marvin was doubtful at first and thought the idea was a little crazy, but he resolved to stick with it, and before long realized that the music could be something really special. I truly feel that my whole life's work has been a preparation for this show. I seem at home doing this kind of work. I'm not trying to write hits or hummable songs. I just keep trying to sound spontaneous. Sure enough, A Chorus Line opened at the Public Theater on April 15th, 1975, and was a gargantuan hit. The show went on to win 9 Tony Awards, including Best Original Score for Marvin's work, and became one of only a handful of musicals to win a Pulitzer Prize for drama. Together with Marvin's song One, the gold-inflected chorus line finale became an iconic image of Broadway for generations to come. After A Chorus Line, Marvin continued to work on theater and film productions, including writing the scores for Sophie's Choice and The Spy Who Loved Me. But as the years between hits drew longer, Marvin began to feel that something was missing.
I got used to the idea that the more successful you are, then obviously the more happy you would get. But it didn't seem to finally give me the part of my life that I wanted.
But like the lyrics to his James Bond theme, he would soon be singing the praises of love.
I wasn't looking, but somehow you found me.
In 1988, at the tender age of 44, Marvin Hamlisch met the love of his life, Terry Blair, through a blind phone call arranged by a friend. After months of talking, the two met in New York, where he asked her to marry him through a hotel room door. They remained happily married to the end of his life. All at once, Marvin's concerns about success and accolades faded away. With Terry by his side, he took joy in every project, big and small, and pivoted towards community outreach, visiting schools and concert halls around the country to expose the public to the great American songbook. It was an arc worthy of the films and Broadway shows he scored. This precocious child turned wildly successful composer, a mensch to all who knew him, found his own happy ending, not in awards, but in creativity, public service, and companionship. But wait a minute. Aren't we forgetting something? In 1995, Marvin Hamlisch won 2 Emmys for his work on Barbra the Concert with his old friend and colleague, Barbra Streisand. With those wins, Marvin officially became an EGOT. And together with his Pulitzer Prize for A Chorus Line, Marvin officially became a PGOT, one of only 2 people in history to win both an EGOT and a Pulitzer. The other one? Richard Rodgers, of the legendary musical duo Rodgers and Hammerstein. After all, awards aren't everything, but they certainly don't hurt.